5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good evening again. Welcome along, sloppy seconds. LTiDtv, Leicester Till I Die. Welcome along to what will hopefully be a regular slot, the Fox's news show. It's a bit later tonight because we started doing these and I hadn't thought about how it would fit in. It will usually be a little bit earlier. But welcome along. Thank you for joining us. Get in the chat. Your chats will appear in the bottom corner there. And if you're watching it on catch-up, you can still enter your comments in the description below. And if you're listening via your favourite podcast platform, thank you very much for doing that. We have just hit, unbelievably, 100,000 downloads on our podcast. So thank you very much. We must be doing something right. Makes a change. It's taken me 63 years to do something right, but there we go. Eventually, I get there. So we've got a new presenter, new show. What could possibly go wrong? Let's get talking. Let's get talking Leicester. Steve, I had to think then. If I'm going to call you Elm at some point tonight, I do know, mate. Steve, welcome to the channel.
Hello. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, Elm's fine. That's my middle name, so it's okay. Everyone else calls me Steve, but Elm is okay if you want to call me Elm.
It's only because it's there, as I get to know you better, we'll call you Steve. But welcome along. Thank you for joining us, and as they welcome along to the channel. These aren't full 2-hour shows or anything like that. These are just quick. Something's happened during the day, and we just put it up and have a quick chat about it. Mm-hmm. I was surprised when I saw this, that the fact that we are up for sale. I mean, I know a lot of people, and hi Benjamin, by the way, sorry, not ignoring you. Hi, how you doing? A lot of fans. I've never been one of these, and yes, I've been critical of Top and King Power. As I think as fans we have every right to, but personally I've never wanted them to sell. Mm-hmm. Are you of the same thoughts on that?
So I'm in two mindsets really, because the issue is that the love for the King Power ownership comes from the Chai more than Top, if you ask me.
Yes.
And as much as Top extended the reach for winning the FA Cup, that was under his tenure, so you have to give him the props for that. The last 4 years have shown that he might not be interested, or B, he's just not up to his dad's legacy, which is very difficult to do. I always feel a bit sorry for Top because I can't imagine losing my dad outside of a place where I have to visit every couple of weeks, and deal with that trauma on a bi-weekly basis. So yeah, it is unfortunate, but right now, with the way that the club is heading, unless somebody comes in to either invest or buy the club, I just can't see it getting any better. They've lost quite a lot of the fan base already, and it's going to take a lot for that to come back.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're quite right. Hi, Michael, by the way. Thanks for joining us. Is that Donkey? Sorry, should have gone to Specsavers. We aren't up for sale. Where have you seen this? Look, I don't know. Well, I think we're pretty sure that this isn't actual genuine news. It is that you pick these stories up on the internet, and look, I've just done a review of the whole week's news, which we always do on a Friday, and we've been linked with everybody and his dog. I mean, all I can say is there must be a rainbow over the King Power Stadium because they must have found a pot of gold that we can go out and buy all these players. So it's rumours, but look, it gives us something to talk about. And it has been, these rumours. I mean, I always say no smoke without fire. But these rumours have been around for a while, and it won't seem to go away.
No, you're right. Yeah. And see, with what's happened in the last couple of weeks in regards to selling players and stuff to balance the books for PSR, a little part of me thinks that maybe they're selling the assets to bring money into the club. So when they go to sell the club at the end of if they sell the club at the end of the season, which, could happen, could not. But if it comes in, if the club ends up being in a positive cash flow rather than a negative cash flow, that always looks better for a selling company, that's for sure. So nobody knows that it's all rumor and all gossip, and as Chris will say, the article we found, it could be a load of hogwash, to be honest, but it's worth a conversation because if we are to sell the club, we're gonna have to find an owner from somewhere, and they don't grow on trees, unfortunately. So
they don't, and of course, and this happened when Milan decided to sell us, and we were all going like, who the hell's this Thai Investments, and who the hell are King Power? And when you look at the clubs that are sold, it's not necessarily the ones you sell it to, but then who they sell it on to. Mm-hmm. Portsmouth, they had an international gun runner that owned them at one point. It was ridiculous, and of course, all the trouble and the thing that goes with it. And of course, not necessarily selling, but extra investment is the other thing that people have been saying, that he needs somebody with that investment, and if he doesn't want to sort of step aside totally, that would make sense, because he may want to keep that legacy there that he started with Vichai, and to let that go, I can understand it being quite hard. But maybe, look, they've had a lot of trouble recently in Thailand, haven't they, King Power? Yes. And he was he got a new position, whatever that means over there, and they brought somebody in to run it, and they all got sorted out. But then, they've got the limit with the money. They've got their own troubles ever since COVID, as that was seen. It would make sense, wouldn't it?
Well, it would. And there's a lot of talk about Leicester going the same way as sort of Sheffield Wednesday, the Chansiri sort of situation. But the way I see that is that I don't think Top would do that to the club for one reason. You look at Chansiri and he's got no actual links to Sheffield at all. Whereas Top has a significant link to Leicester, and it's clear that the family do love the club. So, I think additional investment would be ideal if it was a case if he kept, a share, a significant share potentially, and just brought somebody in to help out. But the main issue for Leicester City, and we found this with teams like Aston Villa and Brentford, Bournemouth, whoever. You can get all the investment in the world that you like, and as Newcastle have found, but unless you up your advertisement and bring in your match day revenue and all, you can't then shift. You can't progress as a club really until that sort of things happen. So yes, I think that it's great if we do get added investment. Perfect. If it means that we can then go and build the rest of the stadium, great. Because that is added investment for the club. That means that we can push on to the next level. But I personally don't think he will actually sell. But you hear little things, and those little things that can sometimes turn into bigger whispers, and it's a full-on conversation. And then the next step, you've got a Qatari owner pumping billions into the city and building a new stadium, and that's the link that we're talking about. It's a Qatari billionaire that was potentially after Manchester United at one point. I have my views on certain Saudis, Qataris, and stuff that is a conversation for a different day.
Yes.
But if he's got the money and he wants to come and invest in Leicester City, as long as he accepts that we have traditions and we have different communities, and all that sort of stuff, and then great, perfect. But yes, the club definitely needs more investment by the looks of it.
There is. Oh, and I didn't realise. So you were related to Oliver Skip?
No, I'm not. I piss off, Frankie. You say this everywhere.
I guessed it was a wind up, but
saying this, but the reason I have to put a hat on is because I look like Tintin if I don't wear the hat, because I've got a little bit of hair at the front. I've got the McDonald's basically, but
hey, at least you've got a little bit of hair at the front. It's not
my dad was bald by 30, so I'm lucky to keep having some.
My dad had absolutely, to the day he died, he had a full head of hair. And I can remember at 17, when I was in the 70s, going on my barber, saying, "You'll never go bald, will you?" If I could remember who it was, I'd be there suing him now. But take after me, granddad. That's the thing. I mean, yes, there's a lot of. Having money does not guarantee success. It could be pumping absolute millions into us, but like Newcastle have found, and they were being whatever we say about Ashley, he left them in a good financial position, and. But they've not been able to spend because of PSR and FFP. So having all this money doesn't guarantee anything. And I don't think we're in the point, like you say, we're not going to follow Sheffield Wednesday down that line.
No, I don't think we are. And it would be a very sad day if that was to happen. But unless King Power go bust, which actually I don't think it really matters, because Leicester City are owned by the family. Yeah, not the company anymore. So that's better, because their wealth is there. But if you lose your big business and then you want to pump your, because they always say football clubs are a rich man's game, and it's one way to go from a billionaire to a millionaire.
Yes, indeed. Unless you're Russian, allegedly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always been the case of. And I refer. I don't know if you probably have seen the Damned United, and the owner there back in the club's days. He's saying it's my club and it's my money, and yes, it is. And even back in the day, the owners take on a lot of responsibility financially, and like you said, lose a lot very easily. We've been very lucky with who bought us out. Like I say, the family own it, so it isn't owned by King Power. So we've got that security. But, we're never going to be a Newcastle, are we?
No.
And whether this would turn us into a Newcastle, like I say, would we still be able to spend it? Because we still have the same limits on what we can and can't buy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the last sort of 4 or 5 years in regards to PSR since COVID, which still blows my mind that COVID was sort of 4 or 5 years ago now.
I know.
Still crazy how time flies.
Scary, isn't it? Yeah.
But you look at the fact that we had 2 very high losses that were in the late, the high 90s. Was there a potentially £100 million loss, the one before that as well? And then it has gone down last season. Obviously, we don't know what the current losses are for this season, but judging by the fact that we haven't sold anybody before July 1st, maybe we're right on the line for PSR. But yeah, unless you can balance the books with player sales and then upping your match day revenue and advertisement budget and all that sort of stuff that comes in, and then invest more into the youth facilities, which we have done, which is good. You're not really going to go anywhere. And that's the problem with PSR, is it does limit and it stifles competition to a certain extent for clubs that aren't already big European powerhouses like the Man United, the Liverpool. You see Liverpool going out and spending 250, 300 million pounds. But to be fair, they didn't buy anyone last summer, so they can do that. But we can't. You look at Sunderland going up this year and spending nearly 200 million pounds. If they get relegated, that could set them back 4 or 5 years. And it's exactly what's happened to us, is that we got relegated when we really shouldn't have been relegated with the squad that we had. It was the perfect storm. And then once you go down, it's very hard for you then to adjust to the standard of the Premier League the next season once you go back up again. And we found in the summer that you spend £25 million on somebody like Oliver Skipp, who is an okay footballer for a certain level, but he's not that price. And if you look at the last two games, we've had 45 minutes and 20 minutes of the second half against Huddersfield, where he just proves that he is a decent enough player. And if your majority of your budget goes towards one player that doesn't work out, then you're hamstrung. And Leicester's model recently that have been giving high wages to players at a certain age that has no resale value just isn't viable for any club. And that's why you see people like Brighton going into Colombia and Brazil and Argentina and buying young players to bring through 2 or 3 years down the line. And that's the model that we were in originally. That changed for one season that then ended as biting us on the arse. And then we're looking to go back to now. But yeah, that model of signing young players and selling them on for a profit is the way we should be doing it. And that's the way you then increase your revenue by, bringing better players in.
Or if you're going to go for a manager that buys the older, there's a thin line between experienced and old, I think.
Yes.
Give him more than 12 games to try and do something with it, But, the thing is, with this story, I don't know if you noticed, actually, underneath the story, the exact same story has been written about Leeds United, and the exact same story has been written about Aston Villa with a very, very obvious copy and paste job, because they're both exactly the same, which is why I don't tend to sort of put a lot of faith in this. But like I say, it's no smoke without fire, and it has kind of bubbled under a few things before. All right, look, let's talk about it, because you did kind of allude to it earlier. And it was something that everybody went mad at when Newcastle was bought by Saudi Arabia, is obviously the human rights.
Yes. So Qataris aren't as bad as the Saudis on all accounts in regards to, executing people for certain things. And allegedly, we don't want any libel here.
Thank you. I haven't got Rebecca Vardy's solicitor, so thank you for that.
But the one worry that I have, and I'm quite the Fox's Pride are an outstanding organisation that has worked well in the community, and it's made it safe for LGBTQ plus people to go to football and feel safe. And it's pioneering in the way that it does things. And when Newcastle got taken over by the Saudis, there was a lot of negativity from their pride group, and I understand it, because this isn't a secret. I'm bisexual, and to have an owner that if I went and visited their country that I wouldn't be allowed in, or I could be under threat, even though I'm married to my wife and she's lovely. It sort of doesn't sit right with me properly, and I just feel like the problem is we're a community club, and we have been for a very long time, and the community is very important around the club. And if you then start potentially alienating supporters because of the ownership, it then sets a precedent that it can slowly, change the way the club feels. Look at Newcastle when their away kit turned from, was it purple at one point or something like that? It's now green with white, which is basically the Saudi flag. So it's a bit awkward. It's a bit like Cardiff changing their shirt from blue to red.
Don't start me on that.
So it's a bit of an awkward topic to have for people, that's for sure. But it's something that has to be approached at some point if we were to be taken over, because there's only really, if you look at billionaires in the world, then they are the super people that want to invest in clubs. You've got Americans, you've got the Middle East, and then that's about it. There's not many British billionaires that want to invest in a football team. And I can't think of many Leicester supporting billionaires either, to be honest. I don't want to say anything, but well, all those downloads, Chris. You got to be making some money.
Interestingly, though, we love our owners, and we've gone to Thailand. We know what that's like for the sex industry. We know that what like that for underage sex. and yet that doesn't get brought up. And I've just done a general sweep here. Thailand faces ongoing human rights challenges, particularly concerning freedom of expression, peaceful assembly, and the protection of human rights defenders. While the country has made some progress, such as adopting a national action plan on business and human rights and legalising same-sex marriage, concerns remain about the suppression of dissent, impunity for abusers, and the treatment of marginalised groups. So they're not squeaky clean.
No, they're not. And also, I guess with the Thai ownership is that we saw in the pre-season game that they put up on the screen about sort of truth for Thailand, and we see them parade around the pitch with the King's portrait after winning cups and stuff. So they're they're not whiter than white themselves. But then I guess the point about that is that you look at America right now, you look at the way that they're leaning, the way the UK is leaning, and a lot of Europe. And then the discourse that comes from all of that, it's not a nice place in the world to be a marginalized person or a group, and that's really unfortunate. But you can't sit there and say that the Thai ownership has been perfect or because of who they support in regards to the King and all that sort of stuff. So it is one of those ones where it's rock and a hard place, isn't it? Whoever you get in isn't going to be perfect. There's no perfect billionaire out there that hasn't done something dodgy in the past. We're all human at the end of the day. For me, just having somebody that if people that support the club went to that person's country, they potentially being in prison for 3 years, and that's a bit much for me. But again, like, everyone has their opinion, and I respect everyone's opinion, because that's the whole point of
I think the thing with our owners is, once they saw the backlash of against that advert, or the sign that went up, they kind of said, no, it's not going up again, and you have to give them, they respect that, because we are, at the end of the day, a multicultural city.
Exactly.
And we have to respect other people's cultures, and they've got to respect ours, obviously. So there is always going to be that at the back, but sometimes I do feel, well, when you're talking money, these sort of things sometimes get. I mean, everybody that how many died when they were trying to host the World Cup, and and that didn't cause any fuss. There wasn't a big furore. Well, there was furore about it, but it still went ahead anyway.
I guess life just goes on, and that's the the point here is that you can have your opinions. And again, like I say, I'm quite an opinionated person, but I'm also somebody that won't shoot somebody else's opinion down just for the sake of it, because I don't agree with them, because that's not the point. So it is one of those things. There are several parts in the world that aren't great, and as long as that we're all here at the end of the day and we're all alive and we can all eat and we're all enjoying our lives, then that's the most important thing. But then we're Leicester fans, so we don't enjoy our lives. Let's be honest.
We don't. Not at all. So it's Sheikh Yasmin. Good. Wish me luck with this. Sheikh Yasmin bin Hamad Al Thani. I've ever said that is easier to say than Top's surname. Apparently, is a powerful Qatar billionaire and former Manchester United takeover contender. Has reportedly made a sensational offer to take over Leicester City or Leeds or Aston Villa, whichever one you clicked on, with an ambitious vow to restore the club to the pinnacle of European football. According to sources close to the negotiations, Sheikh Jasmine's offer is described as astronomical, significantly above the club's current market valuation. Basically, let's be honest with you, they're throwing a bit, rods into the lake and seeing what bites and what comes back. That's how journalism works. I know that they say, like, everybody's saying, like, well, Top wants us to get back in the Premier League because that's when he'll sell, because he'll get more money. But if somebody, it's like when you're selling players, it's just getting the right time. So let's say if we get promoted, and look, I'm not quoting figures, I'm just taking these figures out of the thin air. If we get promoted and we're for sale for 100 million, if Sheikh, whatever his goal, comes along and says, well, look, you're not worth 100 million now, but I tell you what, you're a sleeping giant, or you look at your recent history. What about if I give you 80 million now? because I believe, I'll then get that benefit. It is going to be an attractive offer, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Leicester's worth more than a packet of Skips and a Kit Kat, to be honest. But that's my opinion.
No, yeah. I know. You get my thought, don't you?
I do. So
swap the Kit Kat for the Lion Bar, and I'll take you up on it.
What I will say is that the positive for Leicester is that they own the stadium. Well, the club owns. We own the stadium. We own the training ground, which is a state-of-the-art training ground. So I don't think we're going to be, they wouldn't be getting anybody less than sort of £200 million there or thereabouts. Because if Chancery 100 million for Sheffield Wednesday with their, North Stand that's fallen to bits and players not happy, then we've got to be worth at least double that. But yeah, I think if somebody was to come in and say to Top, we'll give you £200 million, they might consider it for sure. And yeah, as you say, it's all about timing. If somebody was to turn up tomorrow and offer it, it'd probably sell. But again, there's that. And as John said in the chat, that there's the tie between his dad and the club, and I don't know how much sentimental value goes into keeping hold of it or selling the club.
I think that for me there would be a lot if I was in that position, because this was the dream. You either believe that Vichai wanted to buy it or Top, depending which story you read. But look, with everything they did, and we've taken them to the heart. Despite the odd stupid poster and banner here there, we love them to bits, and for everything they've done. And to give up that, like you say, he had the chance to, obviously sell when it happened. And like, you said earlier, every other week or however often he's there, he must be reminded of that every time. And, he has got a love for the club. He's not going out to make bad decisions, but they happen. But again, maybe the Qatari will offer, maybe 50 million, and I'll get you a new director of football. Now that's appealing.
Oh, that would be quite nice, to be honest.
It would. So that I don't think this is going to be anything that's going to sort of set the world on light. It was a very, like I say, whether if you're a Leeds fan or if you're an Aston Villa fan, you're reading exactly the same story that's been copied and pasted. Even the same headline and what have you. It says here at the end, though, and we'll end with this: as the drama unfolds, one thing is certain: the future of Leicester City hangs in the balance. Will Sheikh Yasmin's ambitious plans come to fruition, or will the takeover bid ultimately fail? One thing is for sure: the next few weeks will be crucial. I'm not saying the future of Leicester City hangs in the balance, as financially, but we're looking, and we all got excited after Fiorentina. We were then sort of like, oh, we got out of jail with Sheffield Wednesday, and then suddenly you look at Huddersfield and you think, oh, this fantastic squad we've got. Why not? Yeah. And
the highlight for my trip up there was the fried chicken I had on before the game. That was the most impressive bit of the whole day. So. Yes.
No, and when you're doing news shows, like at the news show I did earlier, it was like 5 items of news on players we're selling, and we can't be buying everybody we're linked with because we haven't got that sort of money. Exactly. So it is a precarious, and we can either go the Burnley way, which is up down, or we can go the Luton way. So this would be very welcome, I honestly think. I think it would be. But I can't see it happening.
No, I agree. Like, investment would be welcome at some point for sure, whether or not be this season or the end of this season, beginning of next or whatever. That would be nice, and I think that's probably where we're likely to end up. But I can't see a Qatari billionaire coming in just yet, that's for sure.
All I would say is that it would be an easy sale because, like you said, we own the ground, we own the training ground, we own a women's football team, we own their training ground. So you can imagine how easy that would be to buy compared to looking at Sheffield Wednesday and going, well, they are a sleeping giant, but I've got to probably rebuild a stand. Half the players have walked out.
And the club don't own the actual stadium itself. Chancery owns the stadium separately. So
exactly, yeah, that's a good point. So as a proposition, we do look very, very good, but we'll see. But not. Thank you very much, Steve, for coming on.
Worries.
And like I say, we're going to be doing these regularly, not on Tuesday because that's your birthday.
It is, yes. I'm going up to York for the day, so that'll be quite nice.
Have a good one, sir. Have a good one.
Yeah, and if anyone's at Preston on Saturday, come say hello because we'll be depressed by the end of it. But we're all fun and games.
I lived in Burnley for like 25 years, right? And Preston was the game, and I've got 4 kids. And when they were younger, I've got 2 boys, 2 girls, and we had a day out at the ground. And Preston, it always used to be a family game. They always used to classify it as a family game, which meant I could get kids in for £1. It saved me a bloody fortune. I love Preston as a club, and of course you'll be catching up with Daniel Everson.
Yes, hopefully he doesn't get an assist this week. So
yes, exactly. Could be worse. Danny Ward could get an assist when they play us. Yes.
Please don't.
No, I know. I wish I hadn't said that. That will come true now. But have a safe journey up, and we'll probably do something again over the weekend or Monday, depending, obviously, if there's any news comes up. Take care. Go and check. That's your Twitter handle, I guess. There, isn't it?
It is, yes. _665. You'll find me.
So go and find him and give him a follow. Like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and all that bollocks. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good journey up, Steve, and I'll see you next week.
Yes.
Take care. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You'd better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.